Nothing contained in this podcast should be considered a substitute for professional medical advice. This content does not represent our respective employers and is purely the opinion of the podcast hosts. We are not your personal medical providers. Sorry, friends. So, if you have concerns or seeking a diagnosis or treatment, please seek individual advice from a healthcare provider in your area. We are not liable for any risks associated with acting upon the information contained in this podcast. This is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only, so enjoy the ride.
Please drink responsibly and in moderation. Before drinking, please be sure to be of the legal drinking age for your country. We do not encourage the misuse of alcohol.
Welcome to Medical Media Mixer, the perfect cocktail. I'm Nicole Pettiston, psychologist.
And I'm Tara Prisco, physician assistant.
And I'm trying not to laugh.
Because I had Nicole cracking up before we started.
Yeah.
She started it.
I did. It was my fault. My fault with the inappropriateness.
Full frontal nudity in a Netflix show. So.
Yes, a lot of it. A lot of it. Very, very eye-opening. Yeah. That's for another episode. So you said you were going to talk about something. About work?
Well, there were a couple different random things in my head. Well, one thing about work, yeah. So, we just came out of the holiday season and that weird, the way it fell, Christmas week, New Year's week, a lot of people are on vacation and a lot of people had the flu.
Yep.
So we were very bare bones staff in my office. So we only usually have 2 front desk, 2 medical assistants, and me. We were down to 1 front desk, and then one medical assistant was on vacation, 1 had resigned. So they were sending us randomly from other offices in our organization people, but they couldn't get there on time or whatever.
So I have a question because I have that happen. Do you like when people from other offices come or do you not like it?
It depends. I mean, it's never going to be the same as the way we all work together just because they know how I like things and it works. But I'll take a body over none because on New Year's Eve, we were working a half day, 8 patients, and the coverage was sick.
Mm.
So here's the thing. We had 3 physicals and a new patient, and those require a lot more paperwork, things to go on the chart, and blood work. Now, I can draw the blood. Fine. I help the girls all the time if something's happening or someone has a
Are you good?
Day.
Are you a vampire?
I'm pretty good. Yeah, I'm pretty good at it. So I can draw the blood, but I don't usually spin the blood or bag it or print the requisition for it. So shout out to Shannon at my front desk who spun blood, even though she's not in her job description and didn't know how. We just asked how long it had to sit, balanced it in the centrifuge. And then I had to learn how to put in all the orders and print the requisition and make sure everything went well. And Shannon needed to learn how to put all these assessments in the chart because when you come for your physical, you have to do a fall assessment, like safe housing, domestic violence assessment, a depression screening,
suicide assessment, all the things you should be doing.
All those things. So that happens in your yearly physical. So she put all this stuff in the chart and I drew the blood and she spinned it and we survived, but we were rolling. I mean, by the time
thank God for your Shannon. We also have a phenomenal Shannon, but she doesn't do that stuff.
Yeah, this was crazy. And then by the end, because I was just trying to keep going because I don't like patients to be waiting and without somebody. So that by the end, I just had my desk covered with a bunch of stickies that I had jotted down like vital signs and things that eventually I had to put in the chart. It was just sticky heaven, stickies everywhere.
I have a theory because I feel the same way. I think, and this is not to shade, but I think Catholic school made us anxious people because I also get really, really anxious when people are waiting.
Yeah.
Whereas if I'm a patient somewhere, I could be waiting I had an appointment on Tuesday and I probably waited 35 minutes. And so, of course, I had it in between my own patients. So I'm checking my watch. It was literally right next door to my office. So I'm I just have to walk next door. It's fine. But I'm checking my watch and everything. Literally, if I'm calling someone back and it's 2 minutes past their appointment, I'm super apologetic. And no other doctors are like this. I think it's Catholic school. They made us anxious.
But I was telling them, I'm well, you get me from start to finish. I get to weigh you, do your vital signs. I get to draw your blood.
And I'm sure they were so thankful for that, right? They didn't care. They just wanted their stuff done.
I have to say, everybody was very understanding. They saw me hustling, running it was.
And I think most patients, like, they can kind of pick up when, like, it's a hectic day, and
right.
Most people
it's
are
not
pretty
like we're sitting there twiddling our thumbs. They saw us hustling, so it was just one of those days. But we made it. We did it. We were successful.
You survived. Yay!
I know. And then it was like the come down at the end of the day.
I get it. It's so funny. The last like 2 weeks, I keep hearing from like reception, like, oh, we've had like this many cancellations for the whole practice, this many. I had 2 cancellations.
Yeah.
Between the 15th and the 31st. 2.
Yeah.
2. Yeah. 2. And I see on average like between 8 and 6 people a day, and those are hour-long appointments.
Right.
So I only had 2 cancellations, and both of the 2 were like last minute, so they couldn't be filled because I always try to like fill my cancels.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not looking forward to next week, although I already have 2 cancellations, but I'm sure they'll be filled by the time I get into the office on Monday. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's, I think, well, we'll see. I guess it depends on the patient, whether either they're trying to get all their stuff done in the beginning of the year, or they're like, oh no, my deductible restarted. I'm not going to go get any medical
That's what I was going to say. I don't know if you have this, but definitely in mental health, we get this where people want to be seen and have everything done by the 31st. And with the nature of what I do and the time it takes, I literally have to start telling people in November that I can't guarantee that you'll be done by the end of your deductible on the 31st.
Right.
Because from intake to testing, that's at minimum 2 weeks. And then from testing to feedback, that's minimum 2 weeks. So right there, that's a month. So if you're coming in November 25th, I can't guarantee that you'll be done by the end of the year with the holidays and vacations and your own schedule. And so I was honest, because last year I tried really hard to get everybody done, and it wasn't worth it. It was not worth the hustle and the struggle. And then I feel like people weren't getting the quality of care that they deserve. So I would rather just be upfront with people and be like, look, nope, sorry, you should have scheduled a month ago. You know, this is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see. Next week is going to be busy, back to like the official start of the week. So we're recording January 2nd, January 5th, the world comes back into order. Children have been sleeping so late. They are not.
When do they go back to school?
Themselves. Monday. So
oh, wow. That's a short break.
No, they were out from the 23rd. This was a long
so they
break.
went out. Yeah. I didn't think about it that way.
Yeah, it was a long break the way it worked out. But the oldest child one day slept 16 hours, slept till 2:30 in the afternoon.
I'm jealous. I don't think I could sleep that long if I wanted to.
When I was a teenager, I could. And then
her brain and body are growing.
Well, that's what I said. She is growing. And the younger one started sleeping late, which she never has. She's always been the one who's up first. And she slept like 10:30, 10:45 a couple times, which is very rare for her.
I slept late today, and that was 8:45. I was like, I don't have to be out of bed at any time, but okay, I guess I'm up.
Yeah, on the weekends, or not every weekend, but if there's a day, even if I wake up, I'll lay in bed and just read or scroll on my phone rather than physically get up. Like I will just stay in bed for like an hour or 2 hours if I have nothing I have to do.
Yeah, it's nice. I plan on doing that for 2 more days before I have to go back to work. So.
Exactly.
Actually, I can't do that because I'm supposed to go to brunch on Sunday, so I won't be laying in bed for too long, but that's okay.
Anywhere good?
There's actually, you need to try it. There's a diner by me that's like a bougie diner. It's very fancy. And they have a jazz brunch on Sundays.
Ooh,
so
that's cute.
We're going there. We haven't been there in like 3 months, but that's the plan. So hopefully it works out.
Okay. I'm tomorrow going to Medieval Times.
Ooh, fancy. Yes. I haven't been there in a minute.
I know. I'm going to, maybe I'll get a rose thrown to me by one of the knights.
Fancy. Fancy. Have the girls been to Medieval Times before?
I'm
assuming you're going with them and not just on your own.
They were pretty young. I think it's when we were in Myrtle Beach, and the youngest one was in a high chair. So they were pretty young. But we did go to that Dolly Parton Stampede, which is like cowboys instead of medieval times. Same concept. So they know the concept. So it'll be fun. It'll be just like a fun little excursion.
And you're going to the one in North Jersey.
Yeah, that's the only one.
So there's a really good diner near there that you should go to. It's like a New York style diner, and they have good cheesecake. So
I think I know which one you're talking about, but this includes the meal and all that.
Well, then get some cheesecake to take home. Yeah.
And one other thing we did during the holiday break, we did an escape room.
Ooh.
Are you a fan of escape rooms?
Well, we did one together.
Yes.
And I was standing in front of the last clue, so we didn't get out on time. But I was very proud of us for how well we all worked together.
Yes.
I enjoy an escape room. I've done it, I want to say 3 times. I've gotten out once of the 3 times.
Okay.
I mean, obviously I got out if I'm here, but
right.
Anyway.
This one near us, it's called Puzzle Connect, and they're like a small business. I really like them. They only have 3 rooms currently, so now we've done all 3. But I really enjoyed the first one we did was this candy shop one. Second one was sort of like Indiana Jones, but not technically like Indiana Jones, but that kind
there
of
was no
concept.
boulder rolling at you.
Yeah, but it was the whole theme was very similar. I did that one with the oldest child and her friends, and then this one we did was like Saving Christmas, so it was like Santa's workshop and stuff.
So they do like a seasonal one.
Well, no, that one's always a Christmas themed one because it's a big build out. So for them to do it, like we were talking to one of the owners. I mean, it's a lot that goes into it because they really build it themselves. But it's a lot of fun. And this one
I would love to do that. I want to create an escape room.
Really cool. Yeah.
Oh my God, that sounds like so much fun. That's my next job.
It's literally like the theming, the decorating, the programming of it, the puzzles you're coming up with, the magnets have to do this to set this off. But that one, they do allow you to ask for clues, which is worth it because I want to finish it. So we did ask for 1 clue. And it was something that we would have gotten, but we assumed that the kids had read all these like letters on this desk. And I guess one of them they didn't read. But anyway, we got out in the end. It was very cute. It was fun. Nice. I mean, there was a point where we were about to like fight for a moment there. And then the person's listening in because they're there to tell you a clue. I'm like, shut up. You're embarrassing me.
That's so funny. Yeah, I think that's my job in my next life is making escape rooms.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
Also, oldest child 3 years in a row has had an escape room themed advent calendar. So each day
Shut the front door.
is a puzzle, and then you get the code. Well, you have to figure out the code for the next day. So it's like
so
a
cool.
book with it's really neat. It's a lot better than getting a bunch of little trinkets, and it's an interactive thing.
My advent calendar was sparkling wine, and I was not mad about that. So,
well, the youngest one actually had a pretty good one this year. Got a lot of decent like stuff in it, but some of them it's like cheesy. But yeah, escape room advent calendar, really, really cool.
That's cool.
Really neat. Yeah. All right, are we ready?
I'm ready when you are.
Into things.
I'm ready. This is all you.
All right. So my drink is called Cussy's Elixir. Cussy is a name.
It's an old-fashioned name.
It is. So 2 ounces of Blue Houdini moonshine. So
sounds familiar.
Featured that back on our Codini Martini episode. I definitely needed it to be moonshine because this is something that takes place in Appalachia. So I was like, all right, it's got to fit the theme.
Appalachia or Appalachia?
I think the real way is Appalachia.
Okay.
I mean, I listened to
I've always said Appalachian, but it never sounded right to me. So
I listened to Sawbones podcast, and they live in West Virginia, and they constantly call it Appalachia.
I mean, technically, isn't part of the Appalachian Trail in New Jersey?
Well,
I feel like we've got a little bit of it.
Trail, yes, but the region is Tennessee and West Virginia is the Appalachian, like where people live in. They call that region, but yes,
where they currently live.
The mountains are, I would say, the Appalachian Mountains, but the place is Appalachia. I don't know. Anyway, so 2 ounces.
These are questions that inquiring minds want to know.
2 ounces of Blue Houdini moonshine, 1/2 ounce of lemon juice, 1/2 ounce of honey syrup, shake over ice. Top with sparkling water or a ginger ale, and garnish with lemon twist or an edible flower.
That sounds good.
Okay, so what I'm covering is the Bookwoman of Troublesome Creek, which is a really big book that I'd seen on a lot of different book groups that I follow, and I've seen this cover a million times.
Yeah, I can picture the cover, but I haven't read it.
Right, so I'd seen it. And I never really, I was like, oh, whatever, I'll get to that eventually. I didn't even really read what it was about too much. And then I had seen like a random Facebook or Instagram article that was pushed to me on the Blue Fugates, which is a family from that region. And then I had listened to an episode of Twisted and Uncorked, which covered the Blue Fugate family of Appalachia. Then I was looking, I was like, all right, what else can I link this to? Then I realized that the Bookwoman of Troublesome Creek is also about that same concept and family. So it all sort of tied in. So those were the main sort of media pieces that I
used. It just one family?
Yes. So let me tell you a little bit about
no
it.
spoilers, just curious.
All right. So Twisted and Uncorked, basically it's episode 210, and the name of their episode is I'm Blue, dabba dee dabba da. Anyone?
I'm blue, dabba dee dabba dabba dee dabba dee da. Which they did a remix of it, and I don't know the words.
It's in some other song my kids were saying, and I'm like, no, that's not the right song. Stop.
Yeah, no, it's a remix, which is also good, but not the same song.
So the hosts there, they look at it from a true crime adjacent mystery, half folklore, half like medical curiosity. And they talk a lot about sort of the lore, the rumor mill surrounding the family, the Fugates, like people whispers, exaggeration, and the way like the isolation of that population fed into it.
Mm-hmm.
So the story of this family wasn't really initially medical. It was cultural. So in rural Appalachia, visible differences became legend, sort of. So what we'll do is I'll take you through the story from the book, and then we'll kind of contrast and compare the true story to the way the book depicted it, because there are some differences.
Okay.
So the book is set in 1936 to 1943 Eastern Kentucky. So I guess it's Kentucky, Tennessee, West Virginia. That whole area is Appalachia, during the Great Depression. So they use kind of two real historical things. They use something called the WPA, Pack Horse Library Project, which employed women to deliver books to remote Appalachian communities. So this was a real thing that
I love that.
At that time. So they brought the libraries to the people, and they were trying, especially with these isolated populations living in these hard to access areas, even sitting and reading to the children, teaching them how to read, visiting the schools in the area. So it was really kind of neat to learn about that real historic phenomenon. The novel talks about extreme poverty, illiteracy, gender inequality, racial prejudice, and then, of course, the lack of medical care. So our main character, Cussy Mary Carter, they call her Bluet. That's one of her nicknames. So she's one of the last blue-skinned people living along Troublesome Creek, which is a real place in that area. And her blue skin, we know now, is caused by methemoglobinemia, which we'll talk a little bit later. But she didn't know that in the beginning. It's just her family, her kin, as she would say. Some people came out with blue skin.
I had to Google it because I was like, I want to see how blue this looks.
No, it's blue.
Yeah.
The community treats her as basically shameful, dangerous, contagious.
Is this what the Smurfs is based on? I'm terrible,
Maybe.
sorry. But that was the first thing I thought when I saw the actual pictures of them. I was like, oh.
So
Smurfs.
Interestingly, there is a part where she's associating with another of the library horseback book women, and that person happens to be African-American, and Cussy is even treated worse than the African-American woman and given less opportunity. So it was of that time, that was a very low place to be, because at that time they treated people of color, very
any color, apparently.
Right. So, and they called her a colored, like that's what they called her. Yeah. So her father was also a blue, and he dies early in the story, leaving her sort of isolated, trying to figure things out. So she works as a pack horse librarian. She delivers books by mule throughout treacherous mountain trails.
So can I ask a question, or maybe you'll get to it later? This is something identifiable at birth?
Yes.
Okay.
Depending on, they do allude to one other character in this having a less severe form of it. Mm-hmm. But these people are blue all the time. These people who have it, that you can really see it.
Because I was going to say, wouldn't they be concerned at the hospital? But I guess if they're rural enough, they may not have been born in a hospital.
And they say, my kin is blue. My great-grandpa was blue. I mean, this is just our family, right? And it's an isolated population. Like, they're so isolated.
Well, and that's one thing I always have to catch myself with when I ask, like, people like, oh, what hospital you were born in? Not everyone's born in a hospital.
Right,
so, like,
exactly.
They're aware of that, too, yeah.
Yeah. So like we said, she brings reading materials to families, children, minors. Of course, mining is huge in this area at that time, isolated women, elderly people. And she becomes like an educator. She also helps, bring books to people as an emotional escape. Young girls, marginalized families, definitely benefit from this service. And, you know, as it takes us through the story, we kind of see all the different type of people who live in this area and sort of who is very mean to her, obviously, and then who are the people who are kind to her. So interestingly, she's constantly monitored by local authorities because of her blue skin. Like there's literal just suspiciousness around them because they're blue.
When you say monitor, just like her movements are watched?
Not like, you know, I mean, we're out in a rural area, but just anything that comes up that is related to their family is brought under more suspicion, we'll say, than somebody who's not blue. She's pressured into a forced marriage with a reverend's brother, I believe. It's a reverend's brother or cousin.
But is that common for that community?
Well, they have this whole thing about basically trying to make her a match because they know that eventually the father's not going to, you know, he's going to pass and it's just her and the father left and he works in the mines and he's not going to last long. So he's really pushing to get her matched. So he matches her with this guy. And of course there is a basically forced, you know, a rape scene, we'll say, and he dies right on top of her.
Is it because she's blue?
No.
Oh, that would have been a great twist. The blue like kills the evil person.
But, you know, it does show like right at that time, you know, there's suspicion about his death, of course, but they can't really show or prove anything. And so again, she's now alone. Her dad's gone. The husband died. And it, you know, essentially the way the story comes along that a local town doctor takes more of an interest in her and decides that
hopefully a positive interest.
Yes, but he was using it a little bit for his own, I don't know, street cred, we'll say, I guess, in the upper echelons of medicine. So at first he takes her to this bigger city hospital and it's like these nuns and they like treat her like she's a piece of garbage. They like tie her down, take her blood. The nuns?
That's not very Christian.
Strip her naked, take her blood, do this, poke her here, do that. Like it's very, very brutal. Oh, he gives her food in return. So that's one thing that she gets in return for doing this.
Oh, let me feed you a normal human basic right.
He's richer and she's poor, so he gives her food and that's kind of her motivation. But she's like, you're never going to do it like that again. And so they come to sort of an agreement and eventually he is kind to her. And so through their experiments, they realize that if they give her something called methylene blue, it's funny, blue treating blue. If they inject it, she turns pink almost immediately.
Well, and I made a face because I've heard about methylene blue in a different podcast, in a different context lately. But okay. We'll get to that.
Yeah, methylene blue is used in medicine to like stain cells and do different things under a microscope. So injected to her, it pretty quickly fixes it, but it's very short-lived.
Why did they inject it to her? Just random to see what happened?
I don't know how they came up with the theory. I don't really know exactly how they came up with it at that time, or if it was just trial and error.
Because it's not really meant to be injected into people.
No, but then they eventually made it into pills and, you know, sent her home on her way to take these pills every day, but she would be very sick to her stomach and vomiting from them.
Did she want to no longer be blue? Or did she not care? I guess
she wanted to be recognized just as a person and that not be her whole identity. Because she was a very smart person. She was doing this thing for the community. She was one of these book women.
But she's also a woman in the 60s, so were they going to care?
Well, no, it's the 1930s in the book.
Oh, 30. So it's even more so.
Worse, right. But
God forbid you have a vagina in the 30s. You know anything.
Through this, she does gain confidence and agency and challenge sort of the narrative. And in the end, she does meet somebody and who loves her for who she is, and he doesn't care when she decides to stop taking the blue pills.
Doesn't care if she's blue or pink. No, is she like really pink or like a healthy pink?
Healthy pink. Like she goes to like normal. Like she, I mean, I don't want to say normal. You know, she goes to typical. So this story mirrors the real story of the Blue Fugates, but the difference is theirs in the 50s and 60s instead of this being set in the 30s and 40s.
Got it.
So the timeline is different because they tied in this whole bookwoman thing and the cultural time and the mining and all of that into the fictional story. But it does follow very similarly to how they came up with, in a small town doctor coming up with this discovery. So the real history, the real Blue Fugate family lived in Troublesome Creek and Ball Creek regions of eastern Kentucky. And it was, again, very remote, very little in or out migration. They had limited access to any medical care or formal education. The origins of this family starts in the 1800s, where Martin Fugate, who came from France, he was a French orphan, he settles in Kentucky. And unbeknownst to him, he carries a recessive gene for methemoglobinemia. He marries Elizabeth Smith, who unknowingly also carries that gene. So it's an autosomal recessive inheritance, which in a typical population would be pretty darn rare. But the thing about being a very isolated population is there's a lot of intermarriage between people who are related.
And so this is an autosomal trait like we were talking about in your last episode.
Exactly. It's, again, a rare inherited disorder. And so in the general population, it would be so rare for these two to get together. But because of that place and time, they were intermarrying between the Fugate family, the Smith family, the Combs family, the Ritchie family, who are all distantly related. Mm-hmm. And so those gene mutations continue to be expressed within that population. Some were blue from birth, like Cussy and her father. Some darkened with the age or when they exerted themselves. So when their body was under stress, they walked up a mountain or they were chopping wood, they would get blue. And then,
like, I'm never walking up a mountain, so I will never turn blue. Not happening.
The most famous one was Luna Fugate, who's described as blue all over, being the most famous case.
I saw that. Said she was the bluest.
The bluest of the blue.
Yeah.
So for generations, they didn't know, but they said it was because of alcoholism or inbreeding or curses. You know, they were cursed, or oxygen poor air, and there were really no treatments. But then,
well, that was the first thing I thought of when you said blue. I was like, right. At birth, someone would be concerned that was like lack of oxygen, but right. Again, not born in a hospital.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So this doctor, Madison Kewin III, he was a hematologist, so a specialist in the blood. He investigates the family. I guess he heard through rumors and he takes an interest in it. And when they draw their blood, they notice also that when we draw, our blood, it's red, dark red in the tube. There's this chocolate brown in the tube when they draw your blood. And so they come to discover this congenital methemoglobinemia due to a deficiency in something called cytochrome B5 reductase. And they administer this methylene blue intravenously, and the skin color goes from blue to pink within minutes. Temporary but dramatic, and it's the first medical explanation for this that's ever happened, and with his family being there for generations.
Is that dangerous for them over time, though?
So, that's the thing. So nowadays, we'll comment a little bit in the end, but there is acquired methemoglobinemia, and it is still the treatment for it. It is still the treatment for the acquired one because you got it because of some other thing. Mm-hmm. I don't know that there's enough people with this genetic one to really study long-term use, like every single day using this, what it would eventually do. But basically these people have normal, let's talk real quick. Hemoglobin is something inside your red blood cells. Iron is part of it. It carries oxygen to your body essentially. So that's what hemoglobin is. So their iron is oxidized to ferric state, but their ferric iron cannot bind to oxygen, where in normal physiology, the iron is in the ferrous. So ferrous, Fe2, ferric, Fe3.
Like Bueller. I'm just thinking ferritin. Like I always have to get my ferritin levels checked because I have low iron.
That's a storage state of iron. So there's different states of iron within your body. So ferrous is the typical one. ferric is not typical, and that cannot bind to oxygen. So oxygen delivery to your tissues drops despite having normal lungs and normal exchange, through your lungs into your body. So they have more deoxygenated blood. So they have essentially cyanosis, which is blueness. Like you said, if a baby was born blue and they're cyanotic, we're like, oh, there's a big problem here. So typically that would be usually a lung problem.
So it is related to oxygen. It's just the oxygen in your blood versus the oxygen in your lungs.
Right, exactly. And it is not responsive to giving them more oxygen. That doesn't fix it because it's about how it is carried in their body. Mm-hmm. So the inherited methemoglobinemia, the most common is the type that the Fugate family had, type 1. So that's that. Specifically, we said that cytochrome B5 reductase deficiency. It's limited to red blood cells. They're lifelong blue, generally mild symptoms, and a normal life expectancy. There's a type 2 that is more severe and rare. That enzyme deficiencies throughout the body. They can have neurologic issues, developmental problems, and is often fatal in childhood. And the treatment for both is the methylene blue, absorbic acid, which is vitamin C, and avoiding oxidizing agents. So again, it's going to be super rare because those two recessive genes coming together would be very, very rare.
Well, I would also assume because they're such an isolated community, they're not necessarily going out to other people where it could spread to other communities.
But now it doesn't really exist in that form because now they've
all had the treatment.
They're no longer isolated. Our world is no longer, so isolated.
And then the few that do have it are getting the treatment, so then it's managed.
Right, and they know about it now. Yeah. So they understand it. So that's the genetic form, but there are acquired forms of this. So you can have like an acute presentation of methemoglobinemia because of something like nitrates in your well water. Benzocaine and topical anesthetics can bring this out. Other things like certain antibiotics, something called dapazone can call it, and industrial exposures to certain things. So there are, like, you could have someone present to the ER blue with an acute version of this, but it's not a genetic version. And basically the treatment is discontinue the offending agent, give them IV methylene blue and vitamin C, and that's how we see it nowadays is again, that acute form. So, I mean, it was a good story. I actually listened to the audiobook of it and it was nice. The narration was nice. It was easy to listen to. So I do recommend the book, and I do feel like it gave light to not just the medical issue, but to that population, to their culture, to that time period, and to this cool thing about the women riding their mules and horses and bringing people books, which is pretty neat.
Sounds like the most kick-ass part of this whole thing.
Yeah. And there's a lot of like ups and downs and drama between different people she meets and whose husband's beating who and who's, like there's a whole lot more to characters throughout the book. But I just wanted to concentrate on her and her story and, the medical end of it. But yeah, it was a really cute, fun book. Like I said, I'm not a huge audiobook person, but that was a great one to do in that format. Do you ever listen to audiobooks?
I don't, and I feel like I would like them, but I think much like how it took me many, many moons to get into listening to podcasts, I think I still have this negative connotation to audiobooks. I think school drilled that into us, where we're not allowed to listen to the book, you have to read the book. And now we've learned differently.
Yeah, I mean, it's not my major way of consuming books, but this one, it was nice to be able to listen to it while I was just doing random things. And I put the speed up to like 1.5 on audiobooks.
Oh, I always do that on anything I listen to.
Because they talk way too slow and my brain is moving way too fast. And then I'll be like drifting off into something else if I don't,
When I re-listen to Us, it's at 1.5 speed.
Oh,
and I'm like,
really?
Why does Tara's voice sound so high?
Sound like chipmunks?
It's faster.
Yeah, I don't listen to podcasts at 1.5. But I definitely...
I listen to everything at 1.5.
Oh,
even
my
music.
Goodness.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I just always have. I don't know
music,
why.
You're like...
I mean, I do like EDM and fast-paced speed, so... But yeah, no, I usually listen to most things at 1.5.
Oh, your brain is really speedy. Yeah, podcasts, I kind of let it just flow, let it go.
I am medicated for it. Yes, it's a thing.
Oh my goodness. This is another random thing, but it's a sort of offshoot. The other day we had child number 2, the younger child, doing like free association of everything that was going through their brain and the way it went and the free like thought process, and then they looped back to this other thing. It was absolutely enlightening.
Well, to my knowledge, I've never had my IQ tested, but if I had to guesstimate, I would say that my processing speed is probably much faster than my other skills. I'd say my processing speed and then verbal comprehension. Okay. Nonverbal, not good. Not good.
Oh my goodness. You should do some sort of testing on each other or something. Like.
I know all of the answers to the Wechsler tests. So I would have, if I truly wanted an IQ test, I would have to find someone who knows how to administer the Stanford Binet and take that. But they don't even really teach that much in the schools in the US anymore. So it's very hard to find someone, but I could take that one.
How about just go online to Mensa and take their test?
Oh, I am not Mensa worthy, girl.
Yeah, but you can take their test and get a score.
It's still not an IQ test.
Oh, it's their version of it.
Yeah. What else? So that was interesting. No, I like that. I was really curious about the pictures, and I found the one of that one gentleman. I didn't find the bluest. I didn't find her picture.
Yeah, there's one of the guy that you see that picture.
Yeah.
And
he definitely does look Smurfish.
Yeah,
people are wondering.
I've seen this like randomly in life in passing, and just sort of knew of that phenomenon, but
I've never really heard of it before.
Looked into it, but I mean, it does speak to other isolated populations and why there are certain traits. So one of the things we learn in school, specifically the Ashkenazi Jewish population, tend to have a lot of genetic things because of a similar thing, because of a very tight community.
And I can't remember what it was, but it used to be an issue in one of the royal families also. They had something. I can't remember what it is now, though.
Yeah.
And same thing, because such a small community of people.
Exactly. So, inbreeding type of a thing. And
I don't think that's the right word anymore.
Probably
it's not the PC word.
It's probably not.
Insular community breeding. Genetic...
there is a way to say it. Or like a small genetic pool. I don't know.
Genetic homogeneousness. Right. Homogeneosity. I just made up a word. Sounded good though, right? Homogeneosity. I like it.
It did. I like it.
Genetic homogeneosity.
Homogeneosity. Oh my goodness. You know what's interesting? Because in medicine and psychology and science, we use the word homogeneous.
But we never use that word anywhere else. Yeah.
I don't know that other people use that word.
It just means all the same.
Right. But like homogeneous, heterogeneous. But
I mean, we know homosexual and heterosexual.
Right. But... Exactly. Homo same, hetero different. Right.
Well, and Homo sapiens, all the same species.
Right. Well, yeah. But it's just interesting that we use that word so much that it's like nothing to us, but I bet a lot of people don't think of it.
I feel like there's probably a lot of words like that we use. I mean, I know I use a lot of like research words very often.
Right. And we have to be careful how we're explaining these things then to patients, because we can't use the big words. We got to try and, break it down into things that they can understand.
I mean, I also give people credit for they think they don't know things, but then when you start to describe it, they know what you mean.
Right. Sometimes that's what I'll do. I'll use the big word and I'll say, well, this means this.
Yeah. And they're like, oh, like this. And then you're like, yes, exactly.
And then we'll continue the conversation. But it is important for us to understand how to break things down, so that people can understand it. Because you can be as smart as possible, but then if you can't get it to the person that you are trying to help, it means nothing.
Yeah. Makes sense. That's why we're doing this podcast, to try to get better at the way we explain things as well.
I know. I'm trying not. I mean, I used a couple big words there, but there was no way to get around those.
They're terms that you have to use.
I can't really get around the existence of those. But I think we're getting better at
there'll be some big terms in my next episode too. So I'll do my best to break them down.
All right, break it down. All right. So thank you for listening to Medical Media Mixer.
The perfect cocktail. Cheers. Cheers. I drank all my drinks, so I'm back to my Sprite with tea.
I'm down.
TM, not sponsored by Sprite, unless they want to.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Medical Media Mixer podcast. If you enjoyed the conversation, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Your support helps others find the show. Want to keep the conversation going? Follow us on social media. We're at Medical Media Mixer Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and on Pinterest, the Medical Media Mixer board.
If you'd like to support the show and help us grow, check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/Medical Media Mixer Podcast, and on Buy Me a Coffee, buymeacoffee.com/Medical Media Mixer Podcast. If you have a topic idea, feedback, or just want to say hi, send us an email at medicalmediamixer@gmail.com. You can also stream all of our episodes and find more info on our website, medicalmediamixer.podbean.com. We're available on all major podcast platforms, so no matter where you listen, we're there. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, keep mixing medicine and media.